Make sure your drill bit's nice and sharp. Just do a little bit at a time. Otherwise it'll grab and spin the bead. So now our hole's big enough, we'll take our cylinder burr and just take a little bit out at a time, because you want that to fit your chenier quite nicely. And you can only do a little bit at a time because the metal, because it's silver, will heat up quite quickly. So just keep working until it fits your tubing. Once you have the hole the right size so that the tubing slides in, slide it all the way to the end. Mark it. You can use a small scribe. You can use a texter, it doesn't really matter. And you're going to add 1/2 millimeter past that mark, saw it off, slide it back in the tube and solder it. You take your sanding stick, smooth off the little bits that have been pushed up by your burr. You don't have to, but it makes it easier to clean up. Now you're going to slide your tubing in, and you can see that it's sticking up quite proud, which is fine because we'll put our soldered bits where it's touching both the bead and the tubing. So put it on a charcoal block. So flex just around where the tube comes out. Place your bits of solder with your flex brush so that they sit right on the junction between the two. And I would use 3 bits of solder. I know it's a little bit overkill, but the thing of it is we don't want any gaps. Use your same neutral flame that we always use. Just gently heat on and off until your flux goes a crusty white. And it just gently, because we don't want the solder to jump around and jump off the piece. Now when it gets to this point, if the solder's moved, keep it warm and you can push it back in place using your solder pick. Circle. The flux will go clear, the solder will flow. Check that it's gone all the way around, it has. Turn your flame off. Quench this in water. And pickle it. So that's our bead with our sleeve in it for the threads. And I'll show you what to do after it's pickled. Dry the bead. And we're going to file and sand this edge until it's flush with the bead. I'd suggest you hold it in your fingers because it's hollow, and if whatever else you hold it with, unless you're really careful, it's going to put marks in the bead or it'll put dents in it. Once you file this flush with the bead, take your sanding stick tidy up your file marks. And then get your bench vise back out. We're going to clamp our tap into the bench vise. So get your tap out with the matching threads. If you're unsure, what you can do is you can rest the edges of the tap against the threads, and the one should drop right into the other one. If it doesn't, you have the wrong tap. Get the tap that matches the threads, and there's a square end on the end that doesn't have the threads. Clamp that in your vise. And we're just going to screw our bead right down on this. So just position that over the top and just turn it with your fingers about 1/4 of a turn. You'll feel it stop, back up. Now we're turning clockwise because that's the way the threads go. So just a little bit at a time. The reason you back up is that it's cutting metal out of the inside, and there are little grooves in this, and when you back up, your thread bits will drop out rather than jamming. We only need 3 or 4 threads. And when it's correct, we'll be able to just put it on the end of our bracelet, screw it on. You won't be able to see any threads here, but you'll be able to take it off. The other end you could thread, but I find it easier to just cut the bead, slip it over, and solder it. And that way we just have one end that unscrews. So once you have it all finished to perfection, hallmark this, the wire part, assemble it, and put the whole thing in the tumbler for about 10 minutes. So this is what we're making, a wire cuff with a removable end.